That's not a Neumann mic, is there, Alan?
It certainly is.
Oh, my God.
Right on.
Tarzan Dan doesn't know microphones, but Raffi knows microphones.
I've got one. I've got a Neumann. It's
They
great.
are fantastic microphones. This is, I can't remember what model this is, but it's worth about $2,500.
It'll be an 87. We'll see.
I think so.
I'm just blown away. Right. Sorry, you're talking to a microphone geek here, and so I was thrilled to hear that. Okay. All right, stand by. Here we go.
From the headquarters of Geeks and Beats magazine, now with 1.2 billion subscribers on iTunes and GeoCities, this is the world's most popular podcast with Alan Cross and Michael Hainsworth, featuring musical guest Sting.
Children's troubadour, and that's a very important word here, children's troubadour Raffi joins us to talk about a very adult topic.
We'll take you to Vancouver Island to discuss his latest release, Black Lives Matter to Me.
Plus, the secret to why your kids want to listen to that CD in the car over and over and over and over again.
And over again, 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 and over again. Can you tell him, Dad?
Yep.
And now, Alan Cross and Michael Hainsworth.
So since you don't have any children, although I would certainly say that your dogs would qualify in the minds of you and your wife.
Yes.
You must surely understand the power and enthusiasm that exists for Raffi.
Remember that my mother was a grade 2 teacher for 32 years, so she had a lot of experience with children, and virtually all our friends have children, and as a result, they have Raffi CDs. So I'm very well acquainted with this man's catalog.
Joining us now from, I believe, Salt Spring Island, is that correct?
Yes,
is
that's
Raffi
right.
Kavukian. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're on Salt Spring. Are you neighbors with Ruddy Bachman?
Not quite, but I did once record with him.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What could the head of the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive and Raffi have in common? What did you do?
That's another podcast entirely.
Okay.
Well, before we get into the track you've just released in support of Black Lives Matter, I want to just start with your Twitter profile. It contains a single word, troubadour. Why troubadour?
It's a beautiful word, right? It harkens back to the days of old when minstrels went from town to town singing, spreading the news of the day by song, you know? And my Armenian family, there was a friend of the family's who was an actual troubadour. In the Armenian language, the word is ashur. Anyway, he used to play the kemenchi, this one-stringed instrument, kind of like an erhu that the Chinese play. You bow it horizontally and you hold the instrument vertically. Anyway, troubadour, it's a great word. There's a club in LA called the Troubadour that I've never played in, but I thought it just kind of it says singer-songwriter in one word, right?
Yeah, I think that word is not used nearly enough because we do have so many singer-songwriters, especially in this country, that make their living by going coast to coast playing, one or two man shows.
Well, and, the old days, Joni Mitchell was one of the finest troubadours this country ever produced. Gordon Lightfoot, I could go on and on.
You clearly feel, though, you have an obligation to use your 45-year career as a children's entertainer to do more than just entertain children. When you release a socially relevant song, are you talking to the children, or are you talking to the children who have grown up with you and still have that special place in their heart for you, and therefore you are more accessible?
Or are you talking to the parents who are listening to the music with their children?
That's what I just said!
No, it's not. Are you talking? No.
Now, gentlemen. Both good questions.
You have a song about this, don't you?
Look, there's an interesting way to answer your question. Back in 1994, on my Bananaphone album, I had a couple of songs that you wouldn't call children's songs. There was one called First Peoples. It was about the First Nations of this world. 5-minute song, I might add. There was also a song that I wrote after John Candy died. It was called the Schmengi Polka.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah. So, I've always taken liberties on my children's recordings because I know that there are adults listening. And I know that the parents, often would listen to the music after the kids, left the room or, went to school. I know that the kids and parents talked about my songs as well. So I've always felt comfortable including, topical songs. And I guess that has continued to this day. I don't know if you guys know, but during this pandemic, I've been busy, releasing a few songs. I wrote one for essential workers, thanking them for their indispensable place in our lives. The song is called For All You Do. And I'm joined on cello by Yo-Yo Ma on that one. And so it's been fun stepping up, and writing topical songs.
How does one get Yo-Yo Ma to guest virtually on a record?
You get him to call you and say, "Hey, man, I've been writing songs of comfort," which he did during the pandemic. He's been very busy creating beautiful music. And he said, "Would you join me on a song of comfort? How about Baby Beluga?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "I've got a new verse for grown-up belugas, for the beluga grads, the millions who've grown up with my songs." And he said, "We've got to include that." And so we did, and it turned out to be beautiful. We had over 2.5 million views of our video.
Now, your song for Black Lives Matter has a line in it that speaks out to me as unusual, but feels... I'm trying to dance around it. The gist is you say Black Lives Matter, and you point out that all lives matter, but at this point in time, Black lives are really important to be talking about right now as mattering. It almost feels like you felt obligated to couch what you had to say because you knew there would be people pushing back. How do you address or do you concern yourself with the opinions of the angry masses on Twitter who would have an opinion that might be counter to yours? Does that get incorporated into your thinking?
That's not at all how it felt to write this song. Let me say it in my own words. The song is called Black Lives Matter to me. When I sat down, and this is the first song I recorded and wrote and recorded on with piano as rhythm track. I've been playing piano lately. And when I started writing it, I said to myself, what am I going to say here, that hasn't been said about Black Lives Matter? I'm not going to write some angry protest song. Many, many others are far better at that than I am. It's not really my style. And then when I started writing, I wrote, Black Lives Matter, of course they matter. Like, that was the feeling in my heart. Of course they matter. Think about the great entertainers and sports figures and social justice activists of our time that you can name, from Harry Belafonte to Hank Aaron, the home run king, to Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, to Martin Luther King. My goodness, of course they matter. It was my way of personalizing it. And then I went further. Black Lives Matter to me. And so I created what I consider a love song, because that's what we want between human beings. We want anyone of any skin color to be regarded with interest, curiosity, love, respect. That's what we want.
There is that part of society which is really sensitive to people who say, well, of course Black Lives Matter, but then all lives matter. But that's not the point right now. The point is that the spotlight is on the rights of people of color, and that they need to be respected, and that things need to change. No more commissions, no more studies, no more promises. Let time to change. And that is why there's a specific emphasis on Black Lives Matter right now. Did I get that right?
Well, yeah, and there are a couple of things I can point out here. Throughout my whole career, I've had many songs of universal love, you might say. So all lives matter? Of course they do. That's the whole point. All children matter. But I think, we're so aware now of the 400 years of injustice and discrimination, subjugation of Black peoples in one way or another, and enough is enough. And if you're born into a Black family, you shouldn't have to walk down the street with fear that you're going to have a bad encounter with the cops just because of the color of your skin. How would we feel? Can we put ourselves in their place for a moment? Come on now, So Blacks continue to endure this injustice. And so can there be a Raffi song about this? Yeah, it's time.
The point is often made that hate is taught and that children are not inherently racist. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the Raffi Foundation and the role that it plays in reinforcing everything that is already present in your music.
Thank you. Well, about 23 years ago, 1997, I woke up one Sunday morning early, roused from a good sleep, with the words child honoring, kind of like in the ether, right in front of me. And I knew that I was having a luminous moment. And I knew that those words, child honoring, were the name of a philosophy that was being given to me in that moment, a unitive philosophy. And I spent the next 2 or 3 years testing and knowing what I knew in that luminous moment. I wrote a covenant for honoring children, 3 paragraphs that starts with, we find these joys to be self-evident that all children are created whole, endowed with innate intelligence, with dignity and wonder, worthy of respect. The following year in 2000, I had written out 9 principles that arose from those 3 paragraphs of the Covenant for Honoring Children. And so this philosophy that came into being that garnered me an honorary degree from UVic, amongst other places, essentially says that how we see, how we regard, how we treat the very young in their impressionable first years of life is the key to lifelong outcomes, both positive and negative. So if you want to redesign society for the greatest good, one of the most amazing things you can do is respect and meet the priority needs, the universal needs of all young children, regardless of their skin color, where they live, their economic standing, and their family. There are studies galore that the formative early years are the key to lifetimes of outcomes. So don't we then want our first years to be life-affirming and positive and possibility-laden rather than constrained with fear and maltreatment? Do you see what I'm saying?
Tell us about those first years. You've been in this business for more than 45 years. Teach us some tradecraft here. For example, children love repetition. So when you write, tell us about some of the tools that you use to craft your work.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, this is the opposite of children should be seen and not heard. Once we understood as a society that children are whole people who ask really smart questions, and that's how you learn, is you ask questions, right? We can respect what I call our primary intelligence at that time of life, in the foundational early years of life. So when I write for children, I think about what their young lives are about. They're about discovery and fun and the joy of enjoying everything that's new, which is just about everything to a young child, right?
Right.
They're explorers. So I write with humor. I write with repetition because I know that repetition has math and rhythm in it, and predictability, which makes the child feel, oh, yes, the part that I know is coming up again. So there are all these things that go into it, but the basis of it is respect which has been the core value in my whole career: respect for the child as a whole person.
Who is the Raffi fan? When did they start? Out of the womb?
Maybe even before. Can you imagine if a mother with 2 young children is having a third? Can you imagine Raffi music being sung in the home, played in the home, maybe, in pregnancy? No wonder then when the new baby is 3 months old, Baby Beluga has a soothing effect, because I've often wondered, how can this song be so soothing to those so young? Well, maybe that's how. Familiarity.
Have there not been studies that show, and we've seen, the photos of parents putting speakers against the womb and all that kind of stuff. Studies have shown that even in the womb, children are developing their brains using music. I'm
going to tell you something. There is a company that specializes in a special speaker that you put in the womb.
Oh, well, now that's getting a little bit out there.
Wow.
But I think what's really important is what happens when a child is born and, as I like to put it, and comes into a womb with a view. Mother Earth, right? That, those first 9 months especially, because, unlike a colt born to a mare, the young child is totally dependent on the mother for quite a long time. So it behooves us to do everything we can to make those first impressions of life as positive as possible.
It's called, by the way, called belly buds. Baby bump speakers that allow you to play music safely and messages to loved ones directly to the womb from your iOS, Android, or any standard audio device. Now, that's the one that actually goes through the womb wall. But there is the other one.
Here I thought we'd moved on.
No. Sorry. Once I get on a topic, I just can't seem to get off it. The one I was talking about is called Baby Buds. No, sorry. The one I'm talking about is called... Hang on, I have it in front of me. They are called...
I was going to talk to you about my new song, Dudes.
Yeah.
They're called Baby Pods.
Baby Pods.
Yeah, small intravaginal device. Enough. I know, I moved on. I'm finished. My curiosity has been satiated.
Once you've decided that you're going to make a song such as Black Lives Matter to Me, what's the process? What's the next step? Because I listened to it, and I listened to it on, of all places, YouTube. And frankly, I'm scared to death of playing even a bar of it on this show for fear that the algorithm's going to boot us off Spotify again.
Yeah, we have experience with this.
So tell us about the process of what happens after you've got the idea.
Well, I, wrote out the lyrics, got the music together. I do a little demo of the song on my iPhone as a voice memo app. You just push the red button and you start recording. It's great.
Wait a minute. Alan's going on about in vitro headphones, and all you do when you create a new song is hit record on your phone.
Yeah, just a demo, and then I send that to my recording engineer who's in Vancouver, and I say, Ken, we got work to do. And he says, yeah, man, it sounds great. Let's do it. So he comes over, he flies over on the float plane or comes over on the ferry, and we spend a couple of days, and usually in a couple of days we record the song right in my living room these days. And on that song, on the Black Lives Matter song, I played piano, and I also played ukulele and bongos.
It's amazing what you can do at home now with just some rudimentary, what is now rudimentary equipment. Everybody's got it.
Exactly.
And you get almost pro studio quality results from home.
Yeah. In fact, it is studio quality. I consider my living room my studio. I have wood and stone and glass and irregular, shapes in my ceiling here, so it's perfect for recording it. And I have a sweet spot where I know my vocal sounds best. That's where I sit and, play guitar from and sing from. It sounds great on my Neumann.
Are you self-publishing this track, or is this part of the music industry machine?
No, this one was self-published because Well, partly because, I wanted it to be seen as an educational release rather than a commercial release. So people can go to raffifoundation.org, see the news feature about this song, and there they'll find piano music for choir directors. The piano arrangement is there, lyrics, streaming, downloadable song, just, it's all there.
Are there any other socially aware topics that you would like to write about going forward? We seem to be very introspective with what with the way we're looking at society these days. Are there some things that are brewing in the back of your mind?
I appreciate you asking that. I have written over the years all kinds of songs. I've written Cool It in 2007 for climate change, and then with the climate emergency last year, I wrote Young People Marching, a tribute to Greta Thunberg and the millions of climate strikers. I think my next song might be a Green New Deal song, because we're going to need a green recovery coming out of this pandemic. We've only got 9 or 10 years to meet the IPCC climate science numbers in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
A Green New Deal.
A Green New Deal.
New Deal would be something that is a phrase that is associated with Democrats in the United States. Is it your expectation, and is Raffi wading into politics here? Is your expectation that Biden will win?
It's my hope. Basically, I'm a democracy defender. The choice in November is between Biden and fascism. And we didn't fight World War II to endure more fascism. So I don't consider it political, really. I just consider my citizen duty is to defend democracy. That's how I see it.
Are there any parents that have come after you saying, stop being political, stop indoctrinating my children?
Right, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, yeah. See that?
I don't get a lot of that. I get, every now and then, and I ignore those people or I mute them on Twitter. But I get a lot of parents saying, thank you so much for your values, for caring, for your activism. That's what I get mostly.
The Twitter mute is a valuable lesson. I was talking to my 14-year-old daughter about the importance of that. She asks me a lot about the people who, jump on me. And I had to explain to her, and you tell me what you think. My explanation was there are always going to be people who don't like what you're doing. You should be focusing on the people who do. Those are your people.
That's right. So the wonderful thing about the mute button is the person can't tell that they've been muted. But what it gives you is you'll never hear from them again.
Right. You said you've been getting into piano. Are you changing instruments on us? Tell us about your interest in piano suddenly.
Well, it's I've had a piano now for about 12 years. It's a small Yamaha Baby Grand, and for a guitar player, who knows music theory from playing guitar, it's amazing for my brain to have the music theory laid out horizontally, visually, that my fingers engage in a whole different way. My mind engages in a different, it's just mind-blowing. It really is mind-opening. And the more I sit with the instrument, the more it opens up to me. And this is the first time I've said this, guys, I'm taking piano lessons.
Well, listen.
Hey, online from Calgary.
Really? Socially
Seriously.
distant lessons?
Yeah, once a week. Actually, in some ways, it's better than the person being right in the room, which might be more intimidating.
And how are the lessons coming along?
Really well. I like it. I love it. I love learning. It's good.
I had piano lessons beaten into me as a child. I absolutely hated every minute of it.
No, but that's why. Because you said they were beaten into you. Well, no child should endure that. But, if you have a choice about it, if you choose, then it feels like a very different experience.
Listen, my childhood instrument was the accordion.
Oh, right on!
Back to the Schmengi brothers.
Yeah, there you go.
I have 3 accordions upstairs here in my loft.
Yeah, I had a Titano 120 bass with 3 reeds. It was, all the way up to grade 8, I believe. Grade 8 accordion, by the way.
Wow.
No conversation with Raffi Kavukian would be complete without a discussion about Bananaphone, but I want to flip it on you. I want to tell you about Bananaphone. The song was, there you go. Are you required, is it some sort of CRTC regulation? You have to have a banana within hand's reach at every moment?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So Bananaphone comes out in 1994, and I don't know how prescient you really realize you were. In my day job, part of it is public speaking, and to talk at my speakers bureau has set me up as a futurist, which to people in my world, we kind of roll our eyes at that idea, but apparently that's a thing. And so one of the things I talk a lot about is augmented reality. And I use your Bananaphone as the key example in my keynote presentations. Samsung has patented and is in the process of clinical trials of an augmented reality contact lens that may be street purchasable by 2025. And once augmented reality is a thing and has critical mass, any surface becomes an interface. So we literally could look at our banana and dial it like a phone, and it would work that way.
Regardless of the appeal of your idea, you lost me a few sentences.
Get used to it. It happens to me all the time.
Augmented reality, yes. I think what I'm more into is people digging the three-dimensional reality that we have here with Mother Earth, and how all of us fit into an ecology of communion, of interconnectedness. That's what my jazz really is.
Is that why you ended up on Salt Spring Island?
That's why the banana inspired me to invent a bee phone that predated the iPhone. By many years, I might add, yes.
Are you ever going to get tired of Bananaphone? Like, people must come up to you and just throw a banana at you.
No,
metaphorically or literally.
Folks are very respectful, but when I do that, they go crazy, because apparently no one else can do that, as far as I know. It's a polyphonic sound that my throat makes. It started in 8th grade when I was doing homework. I just came out with and I went, what?
Oh, it's like those monks, the throat singers. They've got a unique multi-timbral talent.
Something, I don't know. It's polyphonic.
Thank you so much for your time.
It's been fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Raffi Kavukian joined us from Salt Spring Island in British Columbia.
Peace.
Ever wanted to be a big shot co-producer? It's just like Hollywood. Visit geeksandbeats.com to learn how you can pad your resume with an exciting show credit. We'll even send you the album cover of your episode, suitable for framing in your parents' basement.
Scott Coates, our longtime fan of The Big Show, who's been living in Bangkok for the last 5 years, every year makes himself a co-producer on the world's most popular podcast with Alan Cross and Michael Hainsworth, and every year we fuck it up.
What did we do now?
He switched from Patreon to PayPal, and Patreon notifies us when people act as co-producers by donating $25 to the show. But when people choose to support us via PayPal, we don't get any notifications. So I had no idea. But he had a fantastic birthday. He said people over, they ordered a bunch of craft beer and then went cycling in northern Thailand for 6 days, covering 529 kilometers.
Good God.
That's
in that heat. In that heat. In that heat, humidity, and rain. Wow.
You would know that part of the world better than I would.
Yes.
How is it doing with the whole COVID-19? Because he said he had some people over, and now I'm getting a little concerned about his health.
Well, we don't know what's really going on in Thailand just yet. It may be open for tourism in February. The places that I go in Thailand are still closed, and they're just waiting for advice from the government, direction from the government.
Are you getting itchy yet? Have you?
Oh, I can't. I need a change of scenery. The fact that, I miss airports. I miss airplane food. I miss traveling. I miss all that stuff. It's just driving me crazy.
Chef Mike Benninger, longtime fan of the show, and longtime friend of the show, and also the man behind Halton Tech for Teens, trying to get old tech that you've got in your closet donated to kids who need it for school. He too donated $25 to the big show to be a co-producer, and he did that via direct transfer to me personally.
Oh,
so I owe you some money.
You do? Great. Fine. I'll take it.
He's been having a heck of a time as well under COVID-19. His day job is a personal chef, going to clients' homes, cooking for them for events. And, of course, none of that's happening right now.
No, absolutely not. Much like a lot of other people.
Are you excited about us not going to CES 2021?
Yes, I am completely thrilled. I do not want to go where people will breathe on me right now, and especially in the United States, and especially in that part of the United States. No, thank you.
When the kids went on March break for 6 months, and you had said that you didn't think we would have CES 2021, I thought you were being way too over cautious.
Yeah.
Obviously, you are a better judge than I am. So, what is your prediction for when we are, in fact, willing, en masse, to return not just to the Consumer Electronics Show, but perhaps more importantly, to music venues?
With music venues, I think that we're not looking for anything meaningful until at least summer 2021. And I don't think that we'll see anything approaching normal until summer 2022. I think it's going to take that long. And not only do we have to adapt our behaviors to the new normal, but we're going to have to get over the fact that we're all frightened of being in a confined space with sweaty strangers. So it's going to take a while. And then we're going to have to get through all the legalities and all the liability issues. It's going to take a while to restart the whole thing.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're never going to go back to wanting to be next to sweaty strangers. Not me at all. With each passing day, I realize that I'm becoming paranoid, and I've at one point, on one hand, I feel kind of weird about that, but on the others, what are you going to do? I mean, this is serious stuff. This is stuff that has to be reckoned with, and nobody wants to get sick. And the fewer people that do get sick, the quicker we can get past this. So, yeah, You're going full Howard Hughes, aren't you?
Not quite, but I'm
You're walking around with paper. You're walking around with Kleenex boxes for shoes, right?
Not quite, and I'm not one of those people that drive in a car with their windows rolled up with my mask on. You don't need the hot box that way. It doesn't help anybody doing that.
That's not the hot boxing you're looking for.
No, it isn't.
Catch all new episodes of Geeks and Beats Wednesdays on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Or stream us live at geeksandbeats.com. Support the show on Patreon and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for a daily dose of the world's most popular podcast with Alan Cross and Michael Hainsworth. The Geeks and Beats podcast would like to thank the National Science Foundation.